so much sports taking place all around the world, and I've been pretty much glued to the TV set for the afternoon thus far, and will continue to be so when I get home, because I'm going to watch next first round match in the NBA playoffs. Anyways, today is a bit of a different type of engagement. I'm hosting what will be a first ever EPL, and this is EPL stands for English Premier League, SKN Fan Zone. And I am going to be joined by a group of distinguished gentlemen whom will introduce themselves when we do go on live. And the intention of this discussion this afternoon is basically to assess, each obviously support one EPL team or another, and we want to share our views in terms of how we thought our teams have progressed, what we thought of the EPL race this year, and any other little funny or interesting points that can be shared, because it's a group of very intelligent, very enthusiastic sports fans, fanalists like myself, and very much, supporters of their individual clubs, as well as very firm believers in their principles and how they see the game of football. So we are going to be joined via Zoom, and I believe that they are already all online. So in an effort to get the discussion on the road, just a quick test to see, do we have we have Gary and we have Keithley, Gawain and Keithley, and I want to say good afternoon to both of you, Gawain Freights and Keithley Pemberton.
Good afternoon, Bob.
How are you, Gawain?
Well, we won 2-0, so I guess okay.
Nice. Weapon, I think we can be joined by Weapon a little later on, him being the Man City supporter. Gawain, we know you as an Arsenal fan. You hear more so as out of respect for the club that Arsenal once was. And yes, in my case, I might be looking to give the chairman and the company a little bit of a booster. At least he has some level of representation, even no matter how low down the table Arsenal plays this season. But we will get back to your overall feelings on Arsenal and their performance this season under Mikel Arteta. Keithley.
Yes, sir.
Well, you've had an up and down season. And congrats on making Champions League. And thank you for joining me here this afternoon on the program.
Yes. The season went as I expected. I didn't have much hopes. I thought we'd probably place third in the league, seeing that we had so many changes, so many new players to adapt to the physicality of the English Premier League.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, most of our players came from Germany, so Germany is more tactical than the Premier League, so the physicality is what took a toll on our new recruits. So looking forward for better next season. Actually,
go ahead.
I'm so surprised that we made it to the Champions League final. I thought we'd probably make the knockout stage and that's it, but we overachieved in the Champions League this year.
Agreed. And I think what has happened is that the number of teams who are traditional powerhouses in the Champions League, they started to fade toward mid-season. But we will break that down a little bit more later on. But they started to fade toward mid-season, and the age of these teams started to show. And it allowed Tuchel now, who obviously had something to prove, to take advantage of what was a huge chasm at the top. And kudos to you guys. You were able to pull it together after looking quite shaky toward the middle of the season. You were able to pull it together, and in the final as well as in fourth place. I don't think Weapon has joined us yet, but I wanted to start the discussion by saying congratulations to Man City. Congratulations to Man City fans. It was a victory well deserved, and it was a season which they started quite slowly. There were a lot of questions about whether or not they had the wherewithal to even sustain a challenge. But once they started, they were literally unstoppable. Only Manchester United, in fact, were able to stop them up until a point. But yeah, they were literally unstoppable. And 12 points clear of the nearest contender shows the level of dominance and the level of performance that these gentlemen, this club, has created. What are your thoughts about it, Keith?
Well, as you know, from the start of the season, City was my pick for being the champions.
Agreed.
Because, I thought Liverpool is, too dependent on their main defender. And with him out, there goes their leadership on and off the field, and it kind of gives City the path now to just walk away with the championship easily, and they eventually did.
Yeah, and but what about City's slow start though? Did you still had that confidence despite, after about 10 or so games they were still mid-table, bottom table, and after they lost to Tottenham especially, I think persons started to question their credentials.
Yeah, because it's a very long season, and I mean each team go through a lull, and luckily for City they went through theirs early in the season, and they got better as the season goes. So kudos to them.
Agreed. Gawain, what words, kind words, do you have for the blue half of Manchester?
Well, actually, the only thing that I'm going to agree with Keith on, well, he did point out, yes, from the beginning that City were going to repeat, and I did agree with that because they just, I don't know, they really sound, but actually, let me say congrats first to the City fans. Must say congrats to the City fans. As they said, no, they are the real team of Manchester.
All right.
So I have to say congrats to them. And we eventually, even though this data shows that, one thing they kept doing was, and they've been doing it for years, is they outscore you.
Yeah.
When they score a lot of goals. So even if it has to come down to like a tie at the end of the season, they're already going to be winning on goal difference. And they basically did the same thing again this year, whereby they just outscored the teams. I mean, they have a goal difference I'm looking at now, 51.
Yeah.
You scored 83 goals, have 32 scored against you. I mean, so they basically just outscore, and I don't know, but
would you say though that the defense got it together as well as the season progressed? Because initially they were conceding quite a few,
yes.
And I would think that coming down toward toward the middle of the season, you see the break, that's when you started to see City started to shape up. John Stones started to be a little bit more assertive. Ruben Dias, he had been fighting from the beginning, but he didn't really have the type of support. And I think, like Keith Lee mentioned earlier, the pace of the Premier League is something that takes a bit of adjusting to, no matter where you come from. So do you think that maybe it was also, yes, 51 goal difference, the closest one is 29, that's United.
Yeah.
You can't take that away from them at all. But would you also say that because of their defense being in the top three? I would think if not the top defense in the Premier League, top defense in the Premier League would also have contributed to that.
Yeah, and it's that because they were sounding, and as you said, like later on, they early on in the season, but like from Christmas break, they just pounced on everyone. Like they just pounced. You had them beating people like what 5-0. If you score one, they score 4. So it's still a 3. It's still a 3 goal difference.
Yeah. Agreed. They were really heads and shoulders above everyone else this season. I mean, I'm amazed. You guys know I'm a Manchester United man, but I never even thought that we would have made it into second position. Furthermore, into the top 4. Furthermore, into second position. So in the case of Manchester United, I must say I feel a little sense of pride. We were able to pull out the performances where required. There was a feeling of, yes, we can really challenge around the break. But in my mind, I knew that we are still lacking in a number of different areas, too many areas, to be able to take advantage of all the the things COVID, because COVID has had its impact on the spending of the clubs, on the and because Liverpool refused to spend, they suffered. Virgil went down, and the whole season went down with them. United was able to rally through. Despite all of the challenges that we would have had, injuries included, and to reach second position. Keith, I know you're not a Manchester United fan at all, but you must say if anything, they're the overachievers, the surprise package for this year's top four.
Yes, I agree. But let me go back to the Ruben Dias for City. I think after he found his feet, City became more dominant, especially on the defensive end. So I think he was actually the player of the season, top 2 or top 3. So Diaz had a lot to do with their improvement as the season went along.
Didn't he win Player of the Season this year?
PFA? I think so.
Yes. So yeah,
I think he did.
I mean, when you look at the table, it's 32 goals them fellas and them conceded in 38 games. That is less than at least 6 games. You're telling me that they had, assuming that you concede a goal in every game, they still had 6 games that they didn't concede one. So
yeah. Well, I can say the same for Chelsea. Chelsea conceded 36.
Yeah, Chelsea did well defensively. I was looking at the stats there.
Yeah,
and actually, Gawain and Arsenal are in third position for defense. They only conceded 39 goals. If they could only score, right? Yeah.
But you realize we still having the issue. We conceded less goals this season than last season. But look at the position where we ended up this season to last season.
Yeah. I ain't granting you no time yet to talk about Arsenal, though. Let's discuss Man City and continue with
Let's talk about the top
Arsenal and earn no right yet to get into this discussion here
yet. That's so true. Just the last thing about Arsenal, they really shocked me because I actually thought that they would have ended up in 10th place.
Yeah, me too.
To be in 8th place, I mean, they really shocked me because I did not expect that.
Agreed.
But I won the last 5, so.
Yeah. Keith, you were saying about City and then United follow up.
Yeah. Well, United. I'm not a fan of United at all. But kudos to them for placing second. I really didn't see it.
Me neither.
But I think the players and the coaches, just blocked out all the outside noise and decided, well, we're just going to go and play our football.
Yeah.
So, and, Liverpool was struggling, Chelsea was struggling. Then you have, they say big 6, but I think it's only four serious teams in England.
Agreed. Agreed. At this point.
So... But I mean, so if 1 or 2 of them struggling, and the other one would just slide right in.
Yeah.
Because actually, I think with about 10 games ago, I see football pundits picking West Ham to place in the top 4.
Agreed.
So I was like, these people really know about football and know about the history of football, because after everything is said and done, it's always going to come down to the top 4 teams.
Exactly. Traditionally.
Exactly. Right.
So Alex used to call it squeaky bum time, where teams tended to drop points where they
right, because them. Those teams, the West Ham and Leicester City, they're not accustomed in playing high pressure games as the top teams.
Consistently.
So as the season coming to an end, and but the games become more pressure. It's more pressure on you. And they don't have the players to deal with that like the other top 4 teams.
Yeah. Rotation would be key. Using your squad properly would be key. And you're right. United, though, to bring it back to United, maybe Gary, and you might want to talk about this a little. I thought they benefited, like Keith Lee said, from the coach, and they're just sticking it through. Shutting off the noise, sticking it through. But I also thought that Paul Pogba is pivotal to any success that they have, despite everybody else performing and being there, or in some cases not. I think once you have a properly performing Paul Pogba, you have a Manchester United that will be there and thereabouts. When it comes to I'm not yet saying maybe the Europa League for sure. I'm almost for me they're foot through the door for the Europa League. But once he's there, there's something about him and the energy he generates that tends to propel them forward much better than when he's not.
True, but you realize, when was it? Last season, possibly the season before. There always been talk of getting rid of him. I think because it seems like the Manchester United fans, maybe they expected more from him. Perhaps, I guess they feel like he was a punch in his weight. He wasn't producing for the kind of money that he was being paid. Mm-hmm. But they probably wouldn't be here without him.
True. I would tell you they would not have been. I agree, Bruno Fernandes is our player of the year. Luke Shaw, very good season, much improved. But we would not be where we are now, second place and Europa League final without a high-performing Paul Pogba.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be because it's... let's go back to the previous World Cup. You realize how he performed that year. It's almost similar to how he performed this year. So it could be that person saying maybe it's because, he's trying to get into the France World Cup squad. But I mean, he's a good player. And to me, he deserves... to be treated better, especially by the fans, because to me, I don't know, like, he's just not a favorite among Man United fans. Like,
some.
A lot of the English fans, especially, he's just not a favorite amongst them. So I don't know if it's for whatever the reason is. I guess because he was bought and, he's young and maybe they figure he should have just come in and bam, kick it off right away. And he didn't do that. But he really produces for them when they need it. He really produces for them, especially when they need it. And now you guys are in second place. And that I didn't see.
No.
Honestly, it was Man City, Liverpool. Mid-season I changed a bit because I really thought Leicester was like, wow, Leicester is doing really well. And they held on for a while. And even though I would joke and say, like how most Arsenal fans would say, there's not a season that Spurs is going to finish above Arsenal. But,
yeah,
I did expect it. But, I mean, he really pushed you guys to be in the second spot, and he should be treated better. And, I really, it would be nice to see him even, maybe score a little bit more goals next season. I mean, that would just make United dangerous.
Yes.
If he got to come even, just do 1.5, not even double what he did this year, just 1.5 times what he did, he'll make you guys a lot better.
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you. And well, I feel very strongly about him as a player. I think Weapon is also gonna log in as well too shortly, or has logged in. His impact is such that if Manchester United are just so fortunate to retain him, because right now we know there's a bit of a contract dispute between himself and them, it automatically changes for them their prospects of becoming relevant again. We're still some ways back, and next season we're probably not going to see them in the top 4 either. But if they're able to re-sign him, then that does show a little spanner in our predictions, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, let me piggyback on something you said about Pogba. I think from being a Juventus fan, a France fan, Pogba plays better when he has someone next to him that can either match his energy or above him, right? So I think after Fernandes came in and Pogba came back, that was his partner right there. So Man U started to shine. Pogba is world class, but he can't do it alone. He's not a Messi or Ronaldo or a Zidane or those guys. He needs somebody equal, better than him next to him, and he would perform.
Yeah. And you do have, and when he's performing, they become unstoppable. I don't know, Weapon joined us as yet? Not yet? Okay. Well, we could then discuss, because I think one of the reasons why Manchester United has finished second is because Liverpool's season went off the rails after Virgil went down. It was bad planning on behalf of the Liverpool management team, senior management team, in the sense that you cannot try and do a title defense with such a thin squad in the first instance. And they strengthened the midfield, but they did not strengthen the defense. And because of that, they suffered immensely once Virgil went down crooked. Other than that, their recovery to get into where they are now, which is in third place, or to finish the season in third place, it is 5 wins and a draw on the last 6, and you're still doing it without Virgil. What are your thoughts, Gawain, on Liverpool and their ability to achieve top 4 status with the start they had?
Yeah, remember, it was funny because when you look at Liverpool, they started off and then they'll start declining after the injuries. And even the fans will tell you that this is almost like a miracle, for them to be where they are now. And to piggyback what you said about getting this squad, I really don't want to bring Arsenal into this, but it's the same thing whereby you have to pick. Like Man City, I always go back. Okay, let's go with Man City. To me, they have 2 starting 11, and sometimes you have to build a team knowing that you're going to probably have 2 starting 11 because you just don't know what's going to happen. You need replacement players, and Liverpool didn't have that. It caused them to suffer, but they finished well. To be playing Champions League football next season, they finished really well, and. Look at the article that was shared the other day with Klopp, where Klopp was saying, if it wasn't for the injuries, they would have been Premier League title holders, But he could also go on and say, if they had a replacement or if they had backup to the injuries, they might have been Premier League holders because they could have challenged Man City a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't believe in ifs, though. If if wishes were horses, all men would be riders, yeah? Keith, what did you think of Liverpool's season and their title defense overall?
Well, as I said, I didn't pick Liverpool to repeat because coming back from such a short season and the squad was so thin, there's a possibility that some of the top players would have gotten injured. I think Virgil probably played all the meaningful games.
Yep.
The off season was very short. This last season, I think it was probably they only had maybe a month or 5 weeks break and then they come back.
I remember that.
And I think that's where we saw so many injuries this season because the players didn't get enough rest. And with Liverpool did well to save the season because after Virgil went down and Alisson had the issues and everything.
Yep.
I didn't see them making the top 4.
Agreed.
But they fight you. They have a squad that's been together for a while. So I think that played a part in the way how they finish. Because if you look at it, basically the clubs with the biggest squads is what plays in the top 4.
Agreed.
Because everybody had injuries upon injuries this season.
Very much so. And everybody had to go through a phase where some of their key players were down for different periods of time. Which brings us then to your team. I think of all the teams, yours had the least injury issues to worry about. So 4th position, even though it's considered an achievement, you did predict that they would be in 4th, but do you think that there's also a bit of of fortune there, in the sense that you were able to salvage a season when it was going rapidly downhill under Frank.
Yeah, well, I mean, Frank is a legend at Chelsea, and in my mind, I didn't think he was ready yet for coaching a club like Chelsea. I think he needed more experience under his belt. I think he had one season in the Championship, and then he got the Chelsea job.
Yeah.
And with so much turnover in the squad this season, and remember the clubs can't train as before because of COVID, so they couldn't get in all the Frank tactics as they want.
Okay.
But after the change, Tuchel, he balanced the team. I think under Frank we were more offensive than defensive because we were scoring goals but leaking goals. And after Tuchel came in, I think in the last 24 games they had probably 16 clean sheets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to win in the Premier League, you have to be balanced. You can't be one-sided.
Especially in the Premier League.
Right. And I think that's was Chelsea issue under Frank. Frank were playing, beautiful football, but leaving the midfield too open, and I think he was putting too much pressure on the defenders. But after Tuchel came in, he just
held the defenders accountable.
Right. Well, he changed the formation, for one. Change the formation and then give each player a new lease of life. So everybody started fresh. So everybody had a chance. So I think the competition is what also pushed the team to achieve this much this season.
Yeah,
because,
everybody saw it as a fresh start.
Right.
Mid-season.
Because remember Frank threw away Rudiger and Alonso, and we go to the whole list. But as Tuchel come in, he had faith in them, played them, and they produced for Chelsea.
Yep, they did. They definitely did. Gawain, I know you don't like to talk about your London rivals, but you know what I mean. Give us a little feedback on your on Chelsea.
Well, I think the only time I really ever supported Chelsea was when Drogba was playing.
That was a good man.
But they have, Chelsea have done something with Abramovich taking over the team. So I don't know, way back that I didn't agree with, but we've had this talk back and forth, but spending money to get the right players in the right position. And they have done so. And even with, I wish if Lampard was there, because I think he could have been an asset, but I got to agree with Keithley. I mean, it's hard to put a young manager, even Arteta, thing, with a squad of like Chelsea. You're talking about one of the top clubs in the world. So, that kind of pressure is going to be telling. And then when you're not winning like how you're accustomed to win and that kind of stuff, and then you don't have the injuries like other teams, so you can't go back and say, oh, because we had injuries. So, but how they ended the season, fourth place, surprising, because I'm going back to mid-season, they were right there with us. Literally, they were there with Arsenal. So I really expected them and Arsenal both to be out of Champions League and not even be playing in Europe, but they just changed it around and they did something that Arsenal failed to do and other clubs failed to do, which is change around the team mid-season, make a tough call sometimes, get a better coach, a coach that would probably understand the players, but a coach that the players would play for. And, and they made a difference. And now they ended up in the season in fourth place.
Champions League final.
Yeah, and Champions League. So they're playing Champions League. So it's like, wow. And being an Arsenal fan is like, this man. And it goes back to, and Keith always say, because he always say, when last we win a cup? You know, so we have nothing to show for it.
It's a valid question. It's a very valid question. You know what I mean? Since that 49 winning run, I hear nothing from Arsenal that worth mentioning. We are joined now, by the way, by Stephen Clark, Weapon. He is our Manchester City supporter. And I don't know if you were able to hear the first part of the program, Weapon, but at the very least, congrats from the three of us. Well-earned victory. And then we had been breaking down the top four, a little bit of a discussion about the top four teams in order of appearance. And we had reached to the point of Chelsea now, where Gawain was just lamenting the fact that Chelsea in the top four and Arsenal double their spaces below. So welcome again, Chief.
Yeah, thanks very much. No, I didn't hear the first part of the program because I was on the road dealing with some business. So
okay, go ahead.
Nice to see you, Green. Go up, mouth. Thanks very much. Yeah, Kibash. Yeah, it was a strange season, honestly, unexpected. Even though many people took City to win at the start of the season. At the start of the season, also it was really struggling. I think we were somewhere in 11th, even though we had games in hand. But games in hand,
they
don't count.
Hands. Exactly.
Points on the board count. You know, so and even though as I say, our games in hand, you still gotta go out and win those games, and it's still pressure on you to win the games and catch up. But in all, the team did step up, as we heard when they actually had a meeting, and basically said that where there was sitting in the table is unaccepted for the club and the players that they have. And that was something that which Fernandinho stepped up and asked the coach to have a say with the players them and talk to them. And that's when they responded really and went on the winning run.
Also, so there was during the season there was a accountability meeting of sorts.
Yeah, for the captain called it. He asked the coach to have a time with them, and he called it. And from after that meeting on the first game, and that's when they went on the long winning run, A and lose.
Oh wow! Okay.
So, and as he said, the players them really did answer to him, and they held themselves accountable for it.
Agreed.
And said the performance was unacceptable.
Very good.
So that propelled City to, I honestly say that propelled City to the championship, because that's when they open up a big gap on the rest of the clubs them.
Yeah. Because they were underperforming. By their standards, they were underperforming. And then you're talking about a team that was only 2 years away from winning a championship. What were your thoughts then of Manchester United finishing second, Liverpool third, and Chelsea fourth? Were those your predictions from the start of the season?
I wouldn't. To be honest, at the start of the season, I had Everton and Wolves as dark horses. I really thought with Everton with Ancelotti there and his second season, I really thought they could have come out and basically do some damage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Wolves, the same thing, but I guess when it comes down to it, history your club also tells a lot. You know, because most players I think play and fight for the badge. That's basically how I will say Liverpool got back in, because Liverpool was dead. Even the other clubs got to make mistakes, Liverpool was dead. Chelsea, you could say the same thing. Tough luck on Leicester City. I actually like watching them play, but when it comes down, you gotta win the games, and that's just what it is.
Yep.
So the top four for me, I didn't really much about choose the top four, but I thought Liverpool are still be there, but as you know, injuries hampered Liverpool. That's the same thing City had last season, with a lot of injuries. Manu, I kind of expected them to be there. You know, they got a good group of players. People might say they don't let the coach or what's not, but I think he's alright. He might say he's not a winning coach, but he just started still. He's still green inside. A much coach started and win one time.
Agreed. Very few.
Know?
Yeah. All right. And then finally,
Arsenal was.
Oh, you're talking about Arsenal. Well, we weren't including Arsenal until the last 5
ahead.
minutes of the Zoom call, really. And
No. Okay, now we could lead them salam.
Yeah. They're not even in European contention, so there's no real need. And Gawain is always get a little plug-in for them anyway, so there's no need to include Arsenal in this discussion whatsoever, unless you're trading somebody from Arsenal to one of the top 4 teams. What I wanted to also say is you're losing a big one there in Kun Aguero. Can he be replaced? Will he be replaced? But whether or not he is replaced, legend.
It's a sad sight to see him go. I would like to see him in Hickory in City. He actually showed today again what he all about and what he's capable of doing. And is just unlucky for this season that he had so many injuries that he could not finish on. Let's say a better note. Normally is 20 plus goals a season. This season maybe he might have maybe 5 goals, you know. But replacing him, no. I don't think you could replace. You basically could replace him and what he meant to the club and what he do for the club. Ain't nobody going to fill his boots.
Yeah, agreed.
But somebody could come in and basically make the name in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, and cement themselves also maybe as, if you want to say, a legend in the club, because I feel Aguero is a legend.
Will you say you prefer Haaland or Kane?
Kane is already made. You know he gonna do. You know he gonna bring. He already made. You know, England, Haaland gonna come from my next club to come in. But if I was to choose, I'm going with what City choose all the time.
Okay.
They normally choose you with potential.
Yeah. So they will probably go.
So Kane might go next 4 or 5 years, but then Haaland might go
a 9, 10, like Aguero.
Depending.
Agreed. Yeah. Keith, Leicester, West Ham, Tottenham. We could bulk all the 3 of them together in terms of how we want to discuss them. What did you think of them? What words of wisdom and pearls can you offer us as it relates to the 3 of those? West Ham, you didn't expect that. Tottenham, you didn't expect them to be so low. Leicester, well, Leicester is Leicester.
Well, I think experience were their downfall when it comes to finishing out the season, because they are started well. But like I said previously, it's a long season, and if you don't have a squad of 22, I mean, you have 2 players for each position, then it's going to be hard because injuries are a part of the game. And I don't think they have the winning culture as well as the other clubs. And with Everton, well, Leicester play good football. They have a good coach, but I think their squad is, the squad is thin. It's too thin to compete with the top teams throughout the whole season. They might compete for maybe 30 games, and that's it. But as I said, when it coming to the end, Most of the games are high pressure games, and these guys don't normally play in high pressure games like the other top four clubs. So I think, and then top four clubs, we look at City, Liverpool, Chelsea.
They just keep missing United. United is a top 4.
But I'm thinking about coaches,
Oh, okay.
coaches that already made the name. Ole is coming through. He surprised me this year.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, surprised me this year. I don't think he tactical enough like the other two I just mentioned, but he has a good squad, and I think after Bruno, Fernandes came in and Pogba got healthy, it told them gel well, so they carry Manchester United. I think this season it was a special season to say the least, because I think having fans in the stadiums do play a part on how the players perform and how they don't perform.
Agreed.
Because when you have 20, 30,000 people screaming at you,
Yeah.
can't make a difference. So I don't think what is happening this year with Man U going undefeated on the road, Chelsea probably lost maybe 1 or 2 on the road after they made the change. And I think that's because there were no fans in the other there were no fans in the stadiums to push their respective teams.
Agreed. That definitely would have been a factor. Would have been a factor. And West Ham and Tottenham, you.
Well, Tottenham is Tottenham. Tottenham do not have a winning culture. I mean, I think Tottenham chairman run the club too much as a business than he run it as a football club. He more about making profits than the team actually winning things.
Seems like a North London issue.
Yes, the top of Tottenham head is a businessman. Same thing for Arsenal. It's just all about money for the owners and not to please the fans. All of the fans are gonna be crying out. Fans paying the money to see games, but every year the same thing. Can't compete to win trophies.
Agreed.
And I think Tottenham squad need a turnover as well, because I think most Tottenham players are already 30 and over.
Yep.
And you already had your best from them. So I think Tottenham need a world-class coach for one. I don't know where they're gonna find that coach, because a lot of coaches in the media, a lot of coaches been turning them down. And with Harry Kane wanting to leave, I don't think that would attract any top coach.
Agreed. So they're gonna require overhaul. Go in.
Yes.
Let me touch you in a little bit on the Leicester, West Ham, and all your North London rivals sitting 1 point ahead of you. One quick point I wanted to note though, in terms of their defensive, them fellas and them, they conceded a lot of goals in terms of the top 8 or 10 teams around them. Only Leeds concede more goals than the 3 of those teams. So obviously, in all cases, defensively, a lot of work needs to be done over the off season.
Yeah, but you could excuse Leeds. They just came up.
Right.
So let's excuse Leeds for that. But when you have like Tottenham, Arsenal, Everton, West Ham, these guys in the Premier League from the inception, they're not going anywhere. West Ham is actually, it's probably one of the highest I've seen West Ham end up, because they usually either between 10 to 12, and sometimes just struggling to stay out of relegation. Tottenham, I got to agree with Keith there. Maybe it's a North London thing. We just have these guys who are just interested in, these owners who are just interested in making money and not spending the money. Leicester though is how should I put it? I looked at their match was the FA Cup match, and when you see how they interacted with their owner, the the owner now, it seems like he might even be willing, because he just seems more of a player owner than a board owner. He seemed like he might even be more willing to invest in the team. Because look at this, since when Leicester came up, they won. They basically has been between this position 5 and 10, for the last 2 years, and then now ended up in 5th place. Though I really did expect them to end up higher, because they were like somewhere like mid-season, they were like in 2nd or 3rd place, and not doing too bad. So I actually expected them to end up higher, but they won a cup, they won the FA Cup. But I don't know, the goals scoring. But if you look at it, a lot of the goals were scored away. But some of it, go back to what Keith Lee is saying, is that a lot of the playing with no fans, I think, really affect even the intensity of the game. So even like a lot of the goals I used to score was just like, okay, look at the amount of own goals. What was it, 100?
Boy,
101, 102 own goals in a season. So, they had a lot. So it's like, I think ending off the season with some fans, and then who knows what's going to happen when the season will start, how much fans might be going to the games then. But I think having fans played a role. Age of the team played another role, going back to what Keith is saying. But a lot of the squads, to me, are young. I don't know. Tottenham do need an overhaul. They do need an overhaul. I can't even say that Arsenal needs one, because I don't even know what we need, to be honest. We might need a bush bat or something. I honestly don't know what we need. Let me say congrats to Weapon. I know I go at multi-teams so much, but they won. They still managed to win. But I think though I would have preferred if Arsenal started in a 10th place, because I don't even think we deserve, even though we won against Leeds the last game, I don't even think we deserve to be above Leeds with the way how we play. I mean, listen, when you talk about English football, you can always mention Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. We're not even in the top 6. People don't even mention the name, and we in here with Leeds and Everton, and it's tough.
I understand your pain. I understand it. I don't want you breaking down on radio for the public to see. But I do understand your pain. But what about the fact that Everton, because Keith Lee made a very, very good point earlier. He said squad and squad size makes a huge difference coming down toward close season. And I started to look at it a little differently because from when he's mentioned it. And it's very true, because teams like Everton, we were predicting to finish top 4. They were playing some excellent football in the beginning of the season. Tottenham, Jose Mourinho had them fellas and them firing. They put 7 in me and all. Now we ain't recover so far. Leicester City had top 2 now for the longest while. These teams were definitely in contention in the first half of the season, but then injuries, the form, everything started to take a toll on them, and then they've fallen as it also runs.
Well, I totally agree. Let me start with Tottenham. I honestly think they have run their course, and that's one of the reasons why Harry Kane asking to leave. Because if he actually see them competing now, and like in the future, right now, like 2, 3, 4 years, he would not want to leave. So, as I say, he's about 28 or so he know time is against him. And I say most of the players them in Tottenham, I honestly think they kind of run their course, and they're gonna start
rebuilding.
Somewhat like a rebuild. Yeah. So for Everton and Leicester City also, squad size definitely matters. At the start of the season also, if you look at it, when James Rodriguez was out for Everton, it wasn't the same Everton.
Agreed.
And if you want to compete against the big boys, them, one player can't make that much a difference for your team, otherwise it's not gonna work. Like City, Kevin De Bruyne out, and when Kevin De Bruyne out, City went on that kind of long run.
Agreed.
And those the kind of players basically you need
In your
to
squad.
propel you into
Yeah.
the top 4 championship.
Definitely.
You know, Leicester City the same. They got an always bunch of group of players. I actually like Leicester City coach Brendan Rodgers. You know,
He seems
but
to know what he's doing.
when it
Yes.
comes, yeah. But when it come down again, when you have to play the same players them over and over and over and over again, and again in this pandemic, you're gonna take a toll. The season long, you're gonna take a toll on them.
Agreed. And West
So
Ham.
most of the time they need to rotate. West Ham.
West Ham benefited
I think
from a fresh Jesse Lingard injection.
Yep, and that's sometimes like an injection, like when they got a new coach
Yeah.
and he come in. That's what Jesse Lingard gave West Ham actually. I was quite surprised by them, but then again, if we talk about maybe not winning things with experienced coaches, David Moyes got some know-how in the English league.
Agreed.
You know, he's been there a long time.
Yeah. The United job was just a little bit too much for him. He was.
Yeah,
a bit off
I
motivation.
think so.
Yeah. Agreed. All right.
You know?
So we've basically discussed the top 7. I must give a little time for Gawain and include him at least in the next part of the discussion here. But what I would like to do, because we only have a few more minutes, is to sort of give me your end of season, because it's far away from the transfer window still has to be open and a lot of player and coach movements over the next few. Where in terms of the top 4 at least, or your team, and maybe for the purposes of this particular discussion, I'll go around the table again, and I'll get your feedback on Arsenal through Everton at 10. Arsenal leads, as well as your prediction for where you think your team will be come next season, and we could probably follow up on a discussion at another time and pick you up on your predictions. So I'll start with Keith. You joined us first, so I'll start with you. You could offer your condolences to the Arsenal fans through the Everton fans, and then make your predictions.
Well, you know how I feel about Arsenal. So,
No love
it's
lost.
well, it's all love because they're not a threat anymore. So we just try to just bypass them. But anyway, looking at next season, I think for Chelsea, what Chelsea needs is a real number 9. It's tough, strong, like the Drogba, the Pasta, the type of number 9 that Chelsea normally have. And looking around, I mean, to me, there ain't much number 9 that can carry a team like the Aguero and the Drogba and those type of guys. No, most of the strikers we have are sort of small body-wise. To go play in the Premier League, you need to be tough and strong and smart and, you know.
Cue Harry Kane then?
Yes, Harry Kane, right. Because for Chelsea, I think the only thing that we really missed this season was the true number 9. The top scorer in the Premier League was Jorginho, who is our CDM.
Yeah.
He scored 7. Be it all of the penalties, but he was the top scorer. So I think priority must be given to top striker. I don't know where we're gonna find it because so many look around, there must top strikers nowadays. And I think with Havertz and Werner settling the second season, they should improve on this season. I think we need a cover at central defender as well.
Okay.
But I think we can challenge next season. We might probably come maybe top 3 next season.
Top 3. Okay. You're stepping out of the top 4 now. Into the top 3. All right. Okay. I think that's a safe enough prediction for Chelsea. Weapon. Let me hear your thoughts on the Arsenal through Leeds and Arsenal through Everton and your prediction for City next season.
So that's Arsenal, Everton, and Leeds.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoy watching Leeds play, and I guess it depends. I don't know if the coach is gonna stay. He said he will discuss at the end of the season.
He signed a renewal,
Yeah,
a 1
he-
year renewal.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He signed for one extra year. Yes.
Okay, that's good. Anybody who interested in seeing attacking football, you definitely love to watch Leeds play. There's a lot of goals. So maybe they could. I think they could improve on their status next season. Everton, I think they should once Ancelotti is still there, and if he could gain a few other players, there should be a check. Whether to just be whether in the top 4 or if you want to say Europe. Arsenal, I don't know if going and think Arsenal to me is right now is almost at a rebuilding stage. That's how I see it because they got mostly all young players.
Agreed.
You know, it'll take some time. The players them talented, but they still want experience to go with it, and I think it'll take some time.
Okay. Gawain.
So,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
For the prediction.
Prediction. I can't go no less than putting City to go on back to back.
Aye.
For me to bet against, honestly, bet against City and bet against Pep, he will be ludicrous.
Okay.
But I honestly think that City could do with well, I will placement for Aguero. Even though he said that Delap will come up into the first team, but I still see him doing the same thing he do with Foden with Delap. I don't think he's that ready made.
Okay.
And then he also get a different option if you got number 9 to play with the false 9 or number 9. And I will go for a left back.
Back up Mendy.
And may just Benjamin Mendy now the latter injuries.
Okay.
He don't play much games. It's like he always injured. And Zinchenko was actually attacking midfielder that kept changing into a left back. So I think cover at left back should be good. Once Fernandinho stay next year, Fernandinho and Wadri will be alright.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just add some to him. I don't think Gabriel Jesus would cut it alone for City. So City actually need a number 9 player.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Jesus hasn't given you a full season yet, has he?
Nope.
Yeah, it's tough. The English league a little bit tough, especially on the Brazilians and them who are a little bit, slighter. Gawain, I left the last for you specifically because I know the emotion by which you will have to deliver your next few minutes. We are discussing your team, Leeds United and Everton, finishing 8th, 9th, and 10th. And also, we would get from you what your predictions are for the Premier League season next season, as far as Arsenal is concerned.
I don't know where we, in all honesty, I can't predict where Arsenal would end up because there are so many different things that could come into play. We started off well. We didn't have enough to win it, of course, but we started off well and then it just dipped off, and it's the same thing that's been happening with Arsenal. We change coach again. So is it the coach? Is it the players? We try to get new players in. We have the same problem. We improved our defense because we improved our backline. So we have a much better backline. So we less goals scored on us, but guess what? We scored less goals.
Agreed.
So it's where we're gonna end up. Next year is really, really beyond me.
You close the season strong, though. In fairness, you close the season with about 5 wins on the trot.
Yeah, 5 wins in a row. Yeah, 5 wins in a row. Yeah, 5 wins in a row. But look what happened though. We closed the season stronger after we were eliminated from Europe.
Okay.
So what happened? It seems like our players, we don't have the right players. I don't know if it goes to fitness because we didn't have like a bunch of injuries. You know, I don't think we had the right balance of players to play in all those competitions.
When it comes to young players, you cannot. I keep saying it, you can't play them. I don't know why Arsenal does it. You cannot play them two games a week and expect to get them performing at their best all the time. It can't.
And we keep going back to the same of bringing all these young players and, you know, pushing them in the limelight, which is fine, but you need some experience, and we don't have the right balance of youth and experience.
And squad.
Yeah. Exactly. And now we basically beg, Aubameyang to stay and, you know, Pierre-Emerick. Is he staying? I mean, you know, is he going to ask out because now he's not even playing in Europe?
Yeah.
You know, he's not playing in Europe at all, and it was that he was staying in the condition that he was going to play in Europe. No, the team is not even in Europe. You know, so will he be staying? That's another question. Or will he try to, you know, get out of his contract, something like what?
Yeah, because
Ozil wanted to stand. They got rid of Ozil, but he needs help up front. In all seriousness, we need a player like you have, like these Suarez, and you have like these guys who they could literally just come off the bench and make a difference. We need somebody like that on the squad who could just come in. If they're not playing the full 90, they could come in at 65th minute and just make a difference in the game. We don't have that. We don't have the right balance in the squad. But when we go down and go below us, we go to Leeds. I think Leeds really punch above the weight this season, and if they could carry that through, I see Leeds actually being in, you know, 8-9. If they fall off, they would most likely end up like West Bromwich, being relegated. But I don't see it with them. It's something about as the weapon was saying, the attacking nature of football is so different than what you would normally see, well, other than Man City, that you normally see in the Premier League. You know, they still have the championship type play of football. So it just looks so much different. Just need some help in defense and they'll be fine. Everton, wow. Yeah, they really, and actually, I see Everton going up a few spots. I see Everton finishing above Arsenal next season. I hope that's not it. I hope I could go more than, but I actually do see them finishing above Arsenal next season. Serious. They deserve to be. Honestly, Arsenal should have been in like 10th place, but Everton really, really doing well. Congrats to Man City. Finishing off, I think next season, if it's not Man City, it's going to be Liverpool. I don't see Man United doing this, like repeating their end of year performance as they did. I think it might be Liverpool, but the top three I think is gonna be Man City, Liverpool, and I don't want to say Chelsea, but you know they're gonna be there, you know, because they just seem to be the teams that doing the right thing at the right time, making the right they invested heavy, like the owners for these people investing heavily in this squad, you know. Look how easy Man City is gonna get. They could easily pick any player to replace Aguero right now, and they're gonna get offers to do that. And easy, and they probably don't even have to pay how much Aguero making, like 12 million. They probably don't even have to pay them that amount because people will just want to come and play, knowing the fact that you're playing on the Pep and you're playing
for Man City.
Well,
champion. You're playing winning football.
Winning football, and that's the mentality that these teams above Arsenal have. They have a winning mentality. I thought that was going to come from our coach, but it didn't happen. It was with Wenger. We got to say it was with Wenger. He built it. He carried it through when he had the Invincibles, and then it ran off because, you know, it was just more about building players. As Keith yourself said, we just have this thing whereby we build a player and we just sell them, make some money, bring in somebody younger who will pay less, make some money again. And you see that happening with Tottenham. And Tottenham going to end up in the same fate that Arsenal is in, you know, if they continuously do this. But we need to spend money, and don't spend money getting right players, because you need a team with the right chemistry. Man City shows that. Man City has the right chemistry. Sometimes you don't even have to look at how they play. Man City kind of remind me a little bit of the France 98 squad, whereby these guys were just always in the right position at the right time, and just continuously scoring goals from the beginning. France was the favorite to win that, and they just went out and win. And they were favorite from beginning to then, and just went out and win. You know, and Man City is the same thing. They were the favorite and just went out and win, and they win big. You know, so I see this season, next season, sorry, almost ended up basically like all these seasons. It's gonna be the same teams in the top four. Leicester might be able to squeeze in because they should have, to me, been there. But it's gonna be the same teams. The only thing I kind of honestly believe, Liverpool gonna find a way to pull it out next season.
Okay, so you're saying you're challenging Weapons' prediction of
Yeah,
back-to-back.
man, a challenging Weapons. Basically, Weapons couldn't go against the coach, but I don't go against the coach.
Liverpool now
Yeah,
to win.
think Liverpool.
I want Liverpool get 20, so I ain't supporting you with that there. Let me stay with 20 for a little while, leave them off the perch. In any event, thanks a lot, gentlemen. You only see why I love Gawain, because Gawain had a lot in his heart there as far as Arsenal is concerned. So that's why I had to leave him for last. You know what I mean? There's a lot of pain there, and understandably so. It was a rough season for Arsenal fans. I wouldn't want to be an Arsenal fan at all. And going into next season, and it's still quite early, but going into next season, I still wouldn't want to be an Arsenal fan.
No.
You know, it's
To be an Arsenal and a West Indies fan is two of the
painful.
hardest things
Yeah,
to do.
but woo, that's licks can't get done. Especially given our age, Gawain, you'd have gotten a little piece of winning from both the Invincibles and from the West Indies.
Correct.
And then since
So
then,
I
pow,
still could hold on to that.
you know what we did look like, say, in about 20, 30 years.
See ya.
All right, well, thanks a lot for joining me, gentlemen, all along. It was definitely fun, definitely interesting, and definitely we will be doing it again. So, I will try and find an appropriate day, and it need not necessarily be football, because I don't think you're only football fans by any means. So, but it's definitely fun, and certainly audience would have enjoyed it as well. We've been allowed a little bit more extra time and all, given how much Gawain wanted to express himself. So thanks for being here again. And I want to thank our audience for tuning in with us to this special edition of Fan Zone on the Bench meeting. And what I can commit it to is that at least before the new season begins, we will have at least one opportunity to hear these gentlemen and then lock in their predictions for the 2021-22 season, and whereby we can hold them to their predictions on the conclusion of the season and evaluate where things went the way they thought they would or didn't. So thanks a lot again, Keith, Gawain, Weapon. Really a pleasure, gentlemen.
All right.
Yeah, blessed.
Yeah.
Blessed.
And once again, thanks to all for tuning in to the bench meeting this evening. I really wish everyone a safe and protocol. Yeah, just ensure you follow the protocols, because it's not even so much about the greeting, but ensure you follow the protocols. For those who still need to, or still having their thoughts or questions about vaccination, seek a bit more discussion about it, and maybe think about it for yourself. Don't overcrowd the health centers by any means, but at the very least, if you can get the protection, given that there could very well be further community spread in St. Kitts, protect yourself as much as humanly possible. Having said that, most importantly, follow the protocols, follow the lead of the NEOC, and be safe as possible out there. And I wish you all a very enjoyable week upcoming, and we will be with you, hopefully, all things considered, next week on the bench meeting. Thank you, and take care.
For real and unbiased sports news and reviews, from cricket to football and everything in between, with in-depth interviews from your favorite sports icons, check out The Bench Meeting, hosted by Kenneth Bob, on Sundays from 4 to 5 p.m., only on Win Media SKN.